Well, when you bring up the subject of roads, it seems nearly everyone has an opinion, and most of the time it's a fairly negative one. Tonight, Steve, Matt and myself will highlight 5 of the most dangerous traffic black spots in Port Macquarie and across for Hastings. G'day, guys.
G'day.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having you guys into the studio tonight. You're back again.
Yes.
So, Steve, people are always complaining about the roads. Are they right? Do they have a point here on the Mid-North Coast? Are our roads really that bad?
The road surfaces are pretty pathetic. They're when they were built, they obviously were built to a different standard where the amount of traffic that was going to use them and the weight of the traffic isn't what's there today. Roads shouldn't fall apart after a 10 millimetres of rain.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
Just does not.
Potholes all over the place at the moment, actually. On my way up to Elands and Comboyne, the roads are terrible, I've got to say.
But, with the weather that we've been having through the state, I imagine that in other areas they're going to be pretty pathetic too. But you look at the areas which have got major floods, and they'll lose the road surface, etc., lose the tarmac on it.
We haven't had major floods.
But we haven't had major floods, that's right. Yeah. And look, I've had friends who've moved to the district, and the first thing they say is how lousy the roads are. Yeah. And I get really concerned when you're driving along, you're not watching the traffic, you're not watching what's around you, you're watching the potholes in front of you. And look, the other day I was driving along, I had potholes along the left-hand side of the road. I moved slightly to the right to get my wheels in between the potholes, and a fellow on the other side did exactly the same. And we weren't going to hit, but we came closer than we normally would do. And that's what really concerns me as a motorist.
Yep, and council aren't going to pay for our tyres, are they? Tonight we're looking at the top 5 black spots across the Hastings, Port Macquarie area. Like I say, it's a subjective topic, but we've had to narrow it down to 5. But we'd be interested to hear what our listeners have to say, and you can give us a call tonight on 6585 3456. We're going to start with Hastings River Drive. The one thing I've noticed about that is, besides the road itself, have you ever driven down it at sunset? It's just blinding, isn't it?
Especially when you're going from Port Macquarie out towards the Pacific Highway, because the sun is right in your face, and you sort of got to move your head around because you can't see what's going, and then you've the potholes and the road surface and everything. It just
exactly. I don't know what they can do about the sun setting in your eyes, but not much. But
a lot of the streets that run east to west, one that springs to mind is Shelley Beach Road. I've seen quite a few prangs in that street where at particular times of the year the sun just shines straight down it, and you're driving up into the sun.
But when we consider Hastings River Drive, besides the sun, look, there are so many dangerous intersections there, aren't there? Have you ever tried to? There's I don't know what the name of the road is, but when you come from St Joseph's Primary School and you're trying to get onto Hastings River Drive, incredibly dangerous. There's Hilltop Crescent there, where so many cars almost run up the back of you if you try to stop. And it's just off the roundabout, and you try to stop to turn to your right, and you just the cars run up the back of you, and you almost can't blame them because you can't give them much warning.
And it's hard also too to try and get off any of the side streets there's Newport Island Road, I think there's Belbowery Street. It's always, you've got to look, as soon as you look one way, you go, right, nothing's coming. You look one way, something's coming, and sit there for 5 minutes waiting.
You're probably better to turn left and then go up to the next street, turn right, and then come out again. Take you 5 minutes longer, but at least you'll survive.
Exactly, and heaven forbid if you are going the wrong direction and you want to try and turn around, because like you say, you've got to turn up a street, come back. I've seen people actually do the U-turn, and I think, you're a very brave man. Very brave man. So number 2 on our list of the worst black spots in Port Macquarie and the Hastings is that bridge on Buller Street. And
I hate it.
It's a terrible bridge.
Yes.
Well, let's describe it first. It's just outside the Food for Less sort of complex.
It connects William Street and Buller Street up, basically.
And it's a little bridge for traffic, but there is a very narrow walkway on either side, I think, for pedestrians.
And potholes and...
Accident waiting to happen, Steve?
Yep. A fatality waiting to happen.
Yeah. I can't believe no one's been killed there.
Neither can I. I've walked across quite a few times. I often will go for a walk along the foreshores, and if you're walking abreast of somebody, you're right on the edge, and it's not the best surface on the bridge to start with.
Well, you've got to walk single file, and if you've got a child like I do, I tell you what, when I cross there, I run like a woman being chased by a hairy bogeyman, because it's absolutely terrifying. You've just got to get across as fast as you can.
Yeah, that's for sure.
What do you think they can do about that one, though? I mean, I keep looking at it and think, surely they can do something here. here?
It'd be major. That you'd probably need to widen the road and then put a walkway on the outside.
Yeah.
It's
I heard they were going to close Buller Street altogether at one stage. There was a plan about 8 years ago or so, and just
pretty major. That's
a big road because you got the bowling club and
it's a major thoroughfare between the shopping centre and Settlement City. Any time of the day, there's just a continuous stream of traffic.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that we can identify the black spot. All of us are a bit nonplussed about what to do about it. Right. We just know it's really dangerous. Yeah. You also don't want to turn onto Buller Street at all in most of those places because it's really
especially
exactly.
You sit there for like 2 or 3 minutes waiting for the traffic to clear and
Russian roulette.
And when you're looking down towards Buller Street from Hollingworth Street, you really can't see what's coming until they just come over the bridge, and you're like...
Well, I've got a suggestion. When you get to the front of the intersection in Hollingworth Street, if you look to the right, you can see the crosses on the top of the Catholic Church and the Church of England.
So I
would suggest you say a little prayer and then have a look and then move out.
It's not a bad idea, but also don't just look to your right. Should be look to your left as well.
Too,
yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Straight ahead as well. There's often traffic coming out of that little parking bay next to the motel that's there.
Just to play devil's advocate, how much of this is the driver's fault? Because we are quite greedy. When I turn out of Hollingsworth and I want to turn right towards town, realistically, I should just be turning left, shouldn't I? And going the long way around. I mean, it's not that much.
Sometimes
further.
I take the long way around to get in downtown because I know that if it's a busy day, you're going to be sitting in Hollingworth Street for a long time, so you just take the long way around, basically.
And you see the sensible, smug people coming up on your inside lane and going left, and you think, you're pretty smart.
Who, if they're in a bigger car than you, and my car's reasonably low to the ground, you just haven't got a clue of seeing.
Yeah, that's it.
If you're going to make
then they block your traffic. Yeah, stupid.
That's another thing about people parking on your left is that you can't. They block your view from. You can't see what's coming down Buller Street. So.
Number 3, Matt, you're going to explain this one to us. Basically, we're talking about Lake Road in general, but particularly the intersection of Lake and Blackbutt Roads.
Lake and Blackbutt Road is where you go down to. It's where the port. Well, you still call it Bob Todd's, but the smash repair places on Blackbutt Road and I think
Burson's on the corner.
Yeah, Burson's on the corner. And I've always, when you come out of there and you're turning left, it's like the Hollingworth Street intersection. You turn left, it's no problem. But when you go to turn right, you've got to fight 2 lanes of traffic that are coming one way and 2 that are coming the other. And because Lake Road's so busy, you don't get a really decent break in traffic. And when you do, you've basically got to go right, hit it, and just hope that no one comes along and collects you because... Well, it's just traffic build up and.
Well, again, I try and not make a right hand.
Yeah, you go left.
I go down to the roundabout, which at the front of Bunnings, which is still fraught with danger.
Yeah, that's another one.
That is the smallest little roundabout in the whole. I've lived in most places in New South Wales, and there's never been such a pathetic little roundabout I've ever seen in my life.
Such a little roundabout, and then you have the Pearson Terminal down the end of one of the roads there. So you've got these big B doubles doing right hand turns, and it's just again it's.
And when you come out of a shopping complex where Spotlight is, you can't turn back towards town. You've got to go
left
up to Sherwood Roadway.
I think.
Another thing that, might be a bit of greed on my part, but I think, oh, damn it, I want to go the other way. Yeah. We've had this question up on Facebook tonight saying we're talking about unsafe roads on Time to Talk tonight and offering the chance for anybody to put forward their suggestions. Craig Oss from Port Macquarie, he's talked too about Buller Street. This is what he had to say. It's a nightmare, that little bridge, for cyclists. He said from a bike rider's perspective, Buller Street from the Food for Less to the lights is a nightmare unless you rebel and ride on the footpath. But that's illegal, he says in inverted commas. And he's right, he's got to ride on the road. So imagine being a bike rider.
I think on a bike, a cyclist, I think it'd be more dangerous on the footpath than on the road itself.
I would have thought so too. You could actually probably tip over the edge.
and knock over pedestrians.
It's so narrow.
But thanks for that, Cragos. And then we had Melanie from Port Macquarie saying, can we complain about the 90-year-old drivers too, like the one who was driving on the wrong side of Hastings River Drive near Westport, and then we tried to warn her and she started to panic and took us on a high-speed chase.
I got disorientated. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, was that you?
When was that?
I was in drag.
And Melanie also wanted to have an honourable mention for the crossing on Hastings River Drive near Westport. It's not one of the best roads.
That's near Plowright.
Hit several people there, she says.
I've seen I saw the aftermath about a year ago. Unfortunately, someone got hit at that intersection. Luckily, they're okay, but
there have been fatalities on Hastings.
There have been, and that crossing, it's near Warren Plowright Toyota, and it is pretty, in a bad spot because.
Sounds like there's plenty of work to be done on Hastings River Drive.
I think so.
The road surface between Plowrights and up towards War Street, that's absolutely pathetic. You've got two lanes come into one. The speed limit drops from 60 to 50. You've got streets to the right, streets to the left. You've got pedestrian crossing, and everything's happening at once. And then you go onto a very rough surface at the same time.
It's just rough. Yeah.
You just think they'd fix these black spots up, wouldn't you? Now, this is a pet one of mine at the moment, particularly because I'm using it. Another selfish one for me. Number 4 on our list is basically, it's hard to describe, but there's a narrow pedestrian walkway on Gordon Street. Now, it's just down from Finian's Irish Tavern and Dan Murphy's towards the beach. Yeah. It's also opposite Coolumbung Park, the Gordon Street side of the park I'm talking about. Now, it's a tiny bit of pavement. It's unbelievably narrow. I walk it a lot, and where it turns left out of Horton and onto Gordon, there's basically, if you're a pedestrian, you are taking your life in your hands. I'm so surprised no one's been killed there. Do you both know the part I'm talking about?
Yes,
there?
It's between where I think it's the Gordon Street roundabout, the roundabout onto Horton Street, which is in Gordon, and the next street along is the left hand. It takes you up towards the fireplace. Yeah,
exactly.
I drove past the other day, and like you said, it is really. There's like that much room.
Centimetres.
There's two very uncouth people who go to Finian's for lunch on a Monday after they play golf.
It's a dangerous place, very narrow pavement, isn't it?
And they actually take bets on how high people would go if they were hit.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen anyone hit there? I can't believe that I've never read that.
But I've seen people sit there or stand. And actually, there's a lot of disabled people cross there in motorised wheelchairs, etc. Yeah. And it must be only because you've got a ramp that goes onto the road. The middle of the road is flat, and then you've got a ramp on the other side. And there's a lot of people with motorised wheelchairs who cross there. Yeah. And you've got traffic belting around the roundabout. And
it does belt. And you can understand, being a driver myself, I can understand why you belt at that point, because it feels like it should only be road, but there are narrow pedestrian crossings around there. Just when you think it can't get any worse, it says, like you said, Matt, that pavement comes to the intersection of Gordon and Hay. Now, that's where the fire engine comes down the hill.
And the road's like that steep.
I'll tell you what, if you're crossing that's a complete blind corner for traffic from Gordon Street. If it wanted to turn up the hill, you're dead. You either don't walk it or you take the risk. Yeah, unbelievable. That to me is the number one. They need to get that one fixed. And then number 5, it brings us to the road between the Donut and Wauchope. We've just had the Oxley Highway upgrade, but what about the rest of the Oxley Highway to Wauchope, guys? How dangerous is this road? Or is it just meant to be one of those charming country roads that you should slow down on?
So I think it could be number 2, because I think I use that road a fair bit, because I go in between my house, which is on where I live, is the Wauchope side of the Donut, and I travel along that road a lot, and it's like, the Russian roulette thing. You just be careful. If someone tries to go past you, you just let them go, because...
But it's single lane, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it is, but it's the speed limit, I think, is fine at 90 kilometres an hour. You've got good wide vision. They've cleared both sides of the road. Yeah. And I know there's been a recent fatality there, but we won't go into that. That's subject of court proceedings at the moment.
So extenuating circumstances.
But to me, if you've got plenty of vision, and I think what happens a little bit, you get people who, for some reason, want to travel at 60 and 70 kilometres an hour along there, and people come up doing their...
That's me, 90. By the way.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why in a minute, but keep going.
And then there's always somebody who lacks the patience to wait till... it takes you an extra 2 or 3 minutes to get into Wauchope if they're doing 60, 70 k's, but they insist on going around it. Now, you've got plenty of vision, but you've got to put it all into perspective, because the road snakes a little bit, and you've got to... If you're overtaking, you've got to be careful of what side of the road any approaching cars are on. Obviously, they're going to be on your side of the road. but it's just a little bit difficult to work.
What about the Rawdon Island elbow too? That is incredibly. The first time when I first moved to Port about 10 years ago, and I was driving out to Wauchope for my first little trip to see this town, and I was doing my probably 80 or 90, and then you come up to that elbow unexpectedly. Wow, it is a killer.
It used to be it wasn't like it is now. It used to be coming from Wauchope into Port Macquarie. It was just a straight left kink on the Rawdon Island Road, and that was it. And it was very.
So if you're a local, you know to slow down to 60 or so when you're taking
I
that.
use that intersection a lot, so yes.
But what about, have either of you found the animals on that road a bit of a problem too?
Yes.
Steve, because, I mean, you both drive that road a lot.
I honestly can't say I've seen too many animals out there.
Wow.
And look, I drive, obviously I'm going home tonight, and I'll be driving in the night. But I can't say I've seen any wildlife on the road.
Let me tell you, one time I was driving home from this radio show and was coming fairly close to the donut, and it was just a light mist falling, and the headlights, you know how it reflects off the rain in front, so it was all very pretty, very beautiful, very peaceful, and then all of a sudden 2 beady red eyes and a big set of antlers, or is that what they call horns?
Antlers, yeah. Well, I had a similar thing, but it was on the eastern side of the donut when the highway goes nowhere near it goes now. It used to sort of wind off a little bit, probably around where Sovereign Hills is now.
Yep.
But it was the night before Christmas.
Oh,
I was driving home.
You saw Rudolph.
I saw this.
Did he have a red nose?
Oh, no.
No, he didn't. But it was
eyes.
just this big deers out there with big antlers, and I thought somebody's geeing me up on this one, but it wasn't.
Yeah, because I've always seen the signs and thought, oh, deers, come on. And I've also heard a horror story about a lady who was driving down towards Port Macquarie and, apparently had a severe accident with a deer, and the hoof actually came right through the windscreen, and she said she'll never forget it.
Houston Mitchell Drive is very famous for deer on the road.
Is
In
it
fact,
really?
I know a fellow who had who rode off a BMW. He you ought to do a fair bit of damage to ride off a BMW.
Absolutely.
And it was would have been about 2 a.m. He was coming back from a show in Newcastle, and he came around a corner and...
You'd never be the same again, would you?
That's probably another road we could put on the list of black spots in the Hastings area, because everyone knows that road is pretty...
Notorious. Well, look, I think that we've narrowed it down to 5. There are so many to choose from, though. Absolutely.
You've only got 2 hours, Tim, really.
I know, exactly.
I mean, everyone will have their own pet 5 hates.
They sure will. But the bottom line is that the council and the state government, we need to get these black spots fixed. We shouldn't be talking about them. So I'd love to hear what the listeners have to say tonight. Our number is 6585 3456. Ring up. Tell us where are the worst roads in Port Macquarie and across the Mid-North Coast. Thank you, guys.
Go on, Tim.
Thanks for listening to Time to Talk.
It's time to talk.
Vern from Port Macquarie has rung up with a quick comment. G'day, Vern.
Hello.
What would you like to say about our worst black spots in Port Macquarie and the Hastings?
Well, there's one on Savoy Street. When you're coming up there and turning right onto Grant Street, you can't see the traffic on Grant Street. They're down in a holler. Mm-hmm. And if you don't wait there a few minutes to make sure you can see them come up so they're visible, they'll correct you. They might be able to see you, but you can't see them. The other one's about the bikes. My son is a bike rider.
Yep.
And he said he's nearly got wiped out a lot of times. He said because the dodging potholes, and that people don't know, the motorists, that there's a law. There's so many metres, he did say what it was, I forget now, from the white line. They're allowed to go abreast, 2 abreast, and the motorists don't know that. They get cranky because, you know, what the bikies do. But the bikies are in the right.
Vern, thank you so much. You keep listening tonight, yep? Good on you, mate. Thanks a lot. Very, very good points Vern makes there from Port Macquarie. What do you think? Give us a call on 6585 3456 tonight.
It's time to talk.
And we've got Katrina on the line too. Are you there, Katrina?
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. A very important subject to tackle, and just been driving back from Sandcrocs on the new Oxley Highway from the donut, and 90-kilometre speed limit, which I was doing. I was driving along that piece of highway not 5 minutes ago, and I'm overtaken by a green P-plater.
Clearly doing well in excess of that 90 kilometres, yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, these black spots are exacerbated by people not following the road rules.
I want to ask you a question about the new Oxley Highway. The speed limit, it's a fantastic piece of road. We've spoken about it on this show quite a few times. 90 kilometres an hour. Do you think that is too slow a speed limit on such a good piece of road?
No, I don't.
Yep.
I think it's a reasonable speed limit because I'm always wary of wildlife, as you were talking about, and you just don't know. And it's only a small piece of highway. You get up to 100, you're at the end of the highway, it reduces to 70, and you've got to slow down. So I think 90 is fantastic.
90's reasonable. You know,
Yeah.
I have to agree with you about people being impatient and speeding too. I drive between Wauchope and Port Macquarie quite often. I've slowed right down purely because there's a lot of mist at the time of night that I'm driving.
And there was, yeah.
Yeah, and so when I slow down, and I really slow down, you could potentially do 100, I believe, in some spots there. I'm usually doing 75, 80, and I know that can be annoying to the people behind you when it's only a single lane, but I've got to say the dangerous things people do to get around me when I'm doing that slower speed is incredible.
How much further is that person that's going to take a risk for your life, their life, by overtaking you? How much time are they going to make up?
You know what, Katrina? None, because I always catch up to them.
That's exactly right.
Always catch up to them. And not to mention the fact that I just can't say it enough times, people need to drive to conditions. Just because there's a big sign there saying 80 or 100 doesn't mean you have to do that number.
That was a really good subject, very interesting, and it does get my blood boiling a little bit.
It does. The roads always do. Thank you, Katrina. That's much appreciated. We are talking about the worst roads in the Hastings area. Certainly got a few people talking about it. We've got Gary from Dunbogan. G'day, Gary.
How are you? I'm glad to get through.
Oh, I'm glad you phoned through. Gary, what did you want to say about the roads?
Well, I've been living up here a lot of years now, and over the years we've been promised so much money for the road improvement, and they're just, I believe they're diabolical, the roads in the Hastings. To give you an indication, my version of the worst road in New South Wales is, I live at Dunbogan, I have to go over to Wauchope. I work in the Wauchope area, and I can't go on that 4-lane highway from Port because it's easier for me to go to the second main road, which is the Bago Road.
Okay.
And if that isn't the worst road in New South Wales, I'll give all they ever do over there is patch it, and that's exactly what they're doing this week again. And this is in the Deputy Premier's shire or area. I mean, what do you got to do to get some money for the road? We get thrown the scraps.
Gary, thank you so much for calling in tonight. I'm going to see what's
I think I really enjoy your show because it's sort of, you can ring in and say what you've got to say. And as I said, I haven't got a political gripe, but surely to heavens, people can't be that naive for 35 years, and the whole area's like it. But you asked to nominate one. And actually, I enjoyed talking to you anyway.
Oh, that's very nice of you, Gary. And I know we've spoken before. You keep listening.
Yes, it's a wonderful show. That's a good station.
That is really good to hear. Thanks so much, Gary.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate that call. And you can call just like Gary did. The telephone number is 6585 3456. Very easy, isn't it? 6585 3456. Easiest telephone number around. You're listening to Time to Talk.
It's time to talk.
Eric from Port Macquarie is on the line. What did you want to say about the worst roads in the Hastings?
Well, I reckon the roads around here are absolute rot. Like, I've come down here from Ballina, North New South Wales, and the roads up there are a dream compared to here.
You're saying the roads in Ballina are pretty good, hey?
Yeah, well, like, it rains a lot at certain times of the year in Ballina, North New South Wales, and the roads down here are just shocking. I had to put in a complaint to the council about potholes on Major Innes Road here in town of Hastings River Drive.
Yep. Hastings River Drive is a shocker. Tell me what bugs you about Hastings River Drive.
No, just potholes.
Potholes.
Yeah. Like, from what I've heard, the council wasted so much money that they did nothing about the infrastructure and the roads. Now, taxpayers' money and Rego and all that sort of stuff is to cover roads. Now, none of it's been spent in this area.
Yeah, there we go. Up in Ballina, though, they've got the good stuff, you reckon? So
Yeah.
what makes Ballina's roads so good?
Well, they're wider and there are less potholes. I think that because the mayor of the town is disabled and spends a lot of time listening to the people of the Shire, he has made sure the roads are in good nick. It's the head honcho.
Yeah, and it's a good
He's
point.
the dude that's responsible.
Yeah, and we don't have good representation here, not at the moment at least. Let's hope our new batch of councillors are listening to this right now, Eric.
Yeah, well, they are, because something needs to change.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you so much for the call and giving us that perspective on how we rate compared to other towns, our equivalent like Ballina. Thanks so much, and you keep listening tonight, okay?
All right, thank you.
Good on you, mate.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
I always listen to It's Time to Talk. I never miss it.
Hello, 2FM.
Yeah, g'day, Bruce. How are you?
Good, Bruce. How are you? Where are you from, mate?
I'm from Grafton.
From Grafton. Where are you living now?
I'm living in Port Macquarie.
Oh, okay. No worries. What did you want to say tonight?
The roads around here are right.
Did I just have you on the line, buddy?
You did.
Okay, well, we've got your perspective, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to some other calls. If you'd like to give us a buzz tonight, give us a call on 65853456 2AFM. 2AFM.
Hello.
G'day, mate. Who have I got on the line?
Vern here from Port Macquarie.
Hey, Vern. Yeah, we've had you on before, haven't we? What did you want to say about the worst roads?
That's right. Well, my opinion is if you slow them all down,
Yep.
where it's a bit bad in Port, like in the built-up areas,
Yep.
with all the dangerous parts,
Yep.
because, they put their foot down. If they all slow down to 40 k's an hour, which is plenty,
Yep.
they don't gain nothing by speeding,
You want the limit dropped to 40k in built-up zones.
all over the
Oh,
Port,
that's controversial,
or most of the area
Vern.
anyway, where it's safe, where it's not safe.
Wow, okay. All right. Well, that's an interesting point, lowering the speed limit. I know what you're saying. I see your point. Let's put it out to the listeners, see what they think. Thanks again, Vern.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say, if I could,
Yes.
is why are there so many potholes and that? There's not enough camera on the road.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
and
is the
that's half
arch,
the
isn't it?
trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when it rains, the heavy traffic, that makes the potholes.
Exactly.
That
All right.
lasts a lot longer.
I appreciate that view, mate. Thank you. You keep listening tonight.
Righto.
All right. Have a good one.
Same, you too.
Good night. That's Vern from Port Macquarie. You can give us a call too on 65853456. I know there are a few people trying to get through. The lines are jammed. What can I say? But they're not now. 65853456. That's our telephone number tonight.
It's time to talk.
And we've got David. David from Timbertown area is on the line. G'day, David.
Oh, good evening. Bruce, isn't it?
My name's Tim, buddy.
Oh, Tim.
What did you want to say about the roads?
Well, this year alone, I've had two wheel alignments on the front wheels through potholes, and I've lost two hubcaps. And the worst roads around the place, have a look at Forest Way coming down from Timbertown to the estate. The road to Beechwood and Stony Creek Road, if you ever want to go to Telegraph Point. It's a shocker.
Oh, is that right? And it's damaging your car, you say?
Oh, yes.
We often ask the question, who's going to pay for the damage to our cars when we go down a pothole? And, it's really frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm a TPI pensioner, war veteran, and we don't get a lot of money, but the thing is, it's a darn nuisance, and they seem to spend money in the wrong place, like the double wigwam on the new highway and all that sort of thing.
Now, how long have you lived in the area for?
13 years.
13 years. And have you seen much improvement over those 13 years? Or
as one of your listeners said, they just throw a bit of metal with tar in it and it washes out on the next storm.
Yeah, no good. Well,
anyhow, best of luck for the program.
I appreciate that, David, and I want you to keep listening, okay?
All the best.
Good on you, mate. Thank you. That's David from the Timbertown area. And as I say all the time, you can give us a call too. 6585 3456 is the telephone number. This is Time to Talk.